Hey everyone, happy Mother's Day. I sure hope you're getting to spend Mother's Day with your mom or with a mother. I'm rejoicing this Mother's Day 2 years ago. My mom's suffering ended and she's in heaven. I look forward to spending time with her someday. I'm really excited for our Sunday service this morning, just a little while. Kelly Brackenoff and Heidi Horner will be sharing their moms of great reputation within our congregation. All of you know them well, and I'm excited to hear their stories. Hopefully you can participate in one of the in-person services. Enclosed in Friday's email that we send out to our mailing list, as well as printed in the foyer, is an article, an essay that Melissa Egerton wrote. I put it in my file in 2018. The title is The Real Problem with Mother's Day. And she's very honest about the challenges that mothers face and the stories that mothers have. They so vary. Not every woman is a mother for many different reasons. And she addresses that. Mothers have experienced loss of all different kinds. There's many, many single moms. And so she addresses all those things, and I feel the same tension she does. I thought she addressed it well, and so I think I distributed it in 2018, but I felt like, especially in light of things that have happened these past 12 months, it was timely to redistribute that, and I know many of you probably have not seen it, so take a look at that. I want to talk about Jochebed briefly in this devotion. Every story, your story, even your mother's story, begins with another story, and that's the story of a child's mother. Certainly, the child's father has a role to play in that story, but Jochebed's role in Moses' story is significant, and I feel like she's worth focusing on this year. Every mother raises their child in a distinct moment in history, not always an easy time in history, and such was the case in the environment that Jochebed raised Moses, the time that she had with Moses. Every culture, every moment in history has put mothers in a very unique situation, circumstances. The world changes, but the word does not. Here's the background of Jochebed and Moses' story. Now, a man by the tribe of Levi married a Levite woman, and she became pregnant and gave birth to a son. The first thing I want to point out is Jochebed's name isn't mentioned. Something about moms, I think you know this. If you wrote your autobiography, you would forget to include your name. The name Jochebed only appears once, I think, in the Bible. It's not until Exodus 6:20 after the fact. So as the story is developing, Jochebed's name doesn't even appear. So like I said, many times when a mother writes their own autobiography, which most mothers would never dare do that, they go, oh yeah, I forgot to include my name, because that's the nature of mothers. That's the nature of the mothers that I know. That's the nature of the mothers that I know at Christ Community Church. Well, she saw that this was a fine child. Well, every mom, I believe, thinks that their son, their daughter are fine. But the problem was, in that day, the Egyptian Pharaoh was not allowing Jewish boys to be born, Hebrew boys to be born. He was concerned that an army might be raised up, so he had ordered the killing of male babies. And there's a very funny story, I think, in chapter 1, where the two Hebrew midwives, Shiphrah and Puah, are told, hey, when the babies are born, when you deliver them, kill them. And they said, well, we try, but every time we get there, the Hebrew women are so strong. They've had their babies and they're gone before we get there. They were lying, but it's a great story. And it shows the mothering aspect, the mothering intent of women. All women, especially Christian women, have this innate desire to save their babies. We know there's a challenge to that right now, but I think it's more natural for mothers to want to save all the children. I really do. But Jochebed's eyes were filled with tears, knowing the circumstances that she was going to be raising this son with. So she kept him for 3 months, kept him hidden, and then she realized she couldn't do that indefinitely and knew that his life was at risk. And so it says that she put her son in a papyrus basket, a basket that was coated with tar and pitch so that it would float. And she hid it among the bulrushes in a marshy area, probably off the Nile River. Pharaoh's daughter went there to bathe, heard the baby, saw the baby, decided to protect the baby. Such is the nature of godly women. And said, we need to find, and this is Bible terms, a wet nurse to take care of this child. Someone to nurse this child. Well, Jochebed was very clever. She was brilliant. She had Miriam hide and watch to see who would find baby Moses in the bulrushes. And when Pharaoh's daughter found her, Miriam is the name of Moses' sister, said, I know a lady. I know a lady. Guess who that lady was? It was Jochebed. Jochebed got to spend more time with her son Moses because of that clever ploy that she devised. Such is the nature of motherhood. But I could subtitle this devotion, Children in Baskets Not Pitched with Tar, Children in Baskets Pitched by Faith, because that's what Jochebed did. And that's what I want to emphasize in this devotion. Moms, raise your children in the faith, by faith, for the faith. Moms, raise the children in the faith, by faith, for the faith. I see the moms at Christ Community Church doing that. And I want to encourage you to just keep it up. Raise your children in the faith, by the faith, and for the faith. That's what happened in Moses' case. So she kept Moses as long as she could as his nursing mother, and they nursed longer than maybe now modern times we traditionally do. Took Moses back to Pharaoh's household. And there Moses received the finest of educations, actually as one of Pharaoh's sons, second in command. But as he got older, Moses' identity had never left him. His mother impregnated Yahweh, God, on his heart, impregnated his identity as a Hebrew, as one who was of a nation chosen by God to represent, to be a kingdom of priests, to demonstrate who Yahweh, the one God, really was. Egypt educated him, but his mother, Jochebed, formed Moses' spirit. And so it says in Hebrews 11, it was by faith that Moses' parents hid him in this basket pitched with tar. I'm saying that they hid him in a basket pitched with faith. They did not leave their son Moses to chance. And our Christian mothers at Christ Community Church are not doing that either. They did not leave their child to chance. They left their child to God. And God kept Moses. Then it goes on to say, as Moses had gotten a little bit older, moving more into adulthood, in verse 24 in Hebrews 11, it says, by faith, Moses. So he was raised by faith, in the faith, for the faith. And then it says in verse 24, by faith, Moses, when he had grown up, refused to be known as the son of Pharaoh's daughter. He chose instead his Hebrew identity. All the pressure is being put on children these days for their identities to be formed by feelings, for their identities to be formed by culture. Moses chose the identity that Jochebed had put into him. There's no way that the Hebrew education was going to provoke Moses to be identifying with Yahweh or the Hebrew people. Clearly, Moses' education in Egypt was to cause him to be identified as an Egyptian. But those early foundational truths, as Jochebed raised Moses in faith, by the faith, for the faith, that faith rose up inside of Moses. It says that he chose to be mistreated along with the people of God rather than to enjoy the fleeting pleasures of sin. He chose the sacrifices that were going to come about by following after Yahweh. Today, I just hope, Mom, that you know you have a vital place in today's cultural moment. That in this moment in history, however long we have with history, your role is vital as you raise your children in faith, by faith, for the faith. Without question, Jochebed's character was no doubt forged in the brutality of the world in which she lived. I mean, every Hebrew at that time was a slave. It was a very difficult life, but Jochebed's character was forged in that environment because of her faith in God. And because of that, she was able to maintain a life of strength and devotion and pass that strength and pass that devotion and pass that strength of character on to her son, Moses. And those same remarkable traits then were impressed upon Moses, and they show up then as he moved into adulthood, as described in Hebrews 11, 24 and 25. He chose disgrace for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the treasures of Egypt. I'm going to read verse 26. Moses regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ. And this is before we even knew the name of Jesus in history. He regarded disgrace for the sake of Christ as of greater value than the treasures of Egypt, because he was looking ahead to his reward. And it was by faith then that he left Egypt. Not fearing the king's anger, he persevered because he saw who was invisible. And later it says, by faith. Notice how it's faith. Jochebed laid Moses aside in faith for the faith. By faith, he even kept the Passover and the application of blood so that the destroyer of the firstborn would not touch the firstborn of Israel. Moses applied all those early lessons, all those formative lessons that Jochebed gave Moses, and he became the leader of the Exodus. And not only Moses, Miriam had a role to play too. You know part of her story in the book of Exodus. And Aaron was the one who was able to speak well. Moses was a leader, but his brother Aaron, also one of Jochebed's children, became the spokesperson for the nation, particularly at the moment of the Exodus. Jochebed could have whined and complained about their circumstances, but she didn't. There's no record of that. Instead, she did all that she could to raise her children and to protect their identity, to raise them up, as New Testament says, in the nurture, in the admiration, in the admonition of the Lord. Lisa Bevere has written a book. I don't know if you've seen it. It's been out for a couple of years, called Adamant. There are adamant stones. And in that book, she was talking about the strength of women and the resiliency of women. And I remember I coined a phrase, let's be the resiliency. Let's be that cause to stand against the flood of this culture. Well, I see the women of Christ Community Church, the mothers in my life, as these adamant stones. To close, it's been said that moms are the sole support of their children. SOUL. The soul support. That means that which is internal in character and quality. But I also believe that when push comes to shove, moms are also many times, and it's a lonely job as a mom, you know this, that moms are the sole support of their children. SOLE. I just want to emphasize that Jochebed did not leave Moses to chance. Jochebed left Moses to God. And neither did Jochebed put her child just in a basket covered with tar. She put her son Moses, as I encourage us all to do, dads too, our children, put them in baskets pitched with faith, by faith, for the faith. Oh, God bless you this Mother's Day. Mom, stay encouraged. Keep up the fight. It's going to be worth it. There's hope in this journey. Be encouraged today. Don't ever measure your worth by your compensation, because I don't think your children are probably going to give you a paycheck. And I don't think there's many husbands and fathers that give their wives a paycheck. So do not measure your value by your compensation. Measure your value by your contribution, because that's how God has determined your value. And what you're contributing is absolutely priceless. What you're contributing is absolutely priceless. God bless you this Mother's Day.